no matter what side of the Atlantic you're on, our politicians are doing stupid, unforgivable things, and staying alert to it all is becoming tougher and tougher. Pale for Style wrote, "If you're not visibly stressed out right now, I don't trust you." The end. And on that, if I said the words Project Chainsaw to you, who would you think of?
I'd think of a couple of massive bellends, Marina. I would think of Javier Milei, who is the Argentinian, is it president or prime minister? Well, leader, who has a chainsaw and wields it to represent how much he wants to cut through bureaucracy and waste. And hey, he gifted a chainsaw to his pal, Bella number 2, Elon Musk. So it's good, isn't it? Boys with their toys.
It is. Well, sadly, that bellendery is catching, and it sounds like we've sort of imported it, actually, because The Guardian reported that Keir Starmer has been warned against adopting the language of Elon Musk. Downing Street is now interested in a proposal to reshape the government, which has been dubbed Project Chainsaw.
I'm sorry, Starmer just doesn't have the vibe to carry that off. And in one way, that's a compliment, but in another, it's like, oh, hello? No, I've got a chainsaw. I can imagine him more with, like, what is it, one of those little grass trimmers?
I was
Or
thinking a vegetable peeler.
A little pair of secateurs.
Every time you think he can't be more fragile, he does something like this. So basically, he's had a hissy fit because there's a portrait that went up, which he doesn't like, and he took to Twitter. And I don't know if you noticed, he's not writing caps anymore, because I think someone's actually writing for him now, because there's commas in the right place, so it must be.
I think he dictates, doesn't he?
Yeah, he dictates.
Dick being the operative word there.
I don't know what he sees when he looks in the mirror, but like, that portrait's not a bad representation.
No, he looks like a sort of flabby old guppy fish.
Yeah, in fact, I would say his foundation blends better in that portrait than it does on his actual face.
I tell you what it does look like. You know, in the last month of pregnancy where you get a very water retention. He looks like he's got sort of puffy water retention in his face.
There is a missing of a neck, actually. Fair point.
But yeah,
fair point,
what
Donald.
is he seeing? What did he expect? The next time they should just like, da-da, pull back the curtain. It's a picture of Brad Pitt. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, there I am. It's like the opposite. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is the orangest twat of all? There I am.
I've got a friend who's very, very protective over the photos that are taken. If there is a group night out, she has to have the photos on her phone because she doesn't trust other people. Okay. This is worse than that.
Yeah, given the things that he's in charge of as well and that he should be paying attention to. No. He's managed to find the time to write, nobody likes a bad picture or painting of themselves. I mean, yeah, true. But the one in the state capitol put up by the governor, it was purposefully distorted, as if, to a level that I've never seen before. Then he wangs on about how President Obama's look is really nice. Not that he's childish. And then he talks about how the artist must have lost her talent as she got older. So a nice little misogynistic jibe there at aging women. Obviously, if she'd been 24 years old and looked like a prom queen, maybe her talent would still be there. Yeah. I mean, what?
J Metal wrote, still not as ugly as he is on the inside.
This hadn't occurred to me that we might not be able to go to
I basically don't think we can go to the States while there's a Trump administration. No, we can't.
Brits and Germans are actually being warned now about travelling to the US by our own governments, including on the Foreign Office website. Absolutely nuts. And saying you could face arrest or detention if you break the country's entry rules and that laws are being strictly enforced. They're looking at just speaking out against Trump on social media. So we're screwed.
Yeah, we can't go. I wasn't desperate to go.
No,
but sometimes I think if I have to travel there for work,
yeah.
I'm not quite sure what I do there. There's a story now. This was widely reported. It was in the Telegraph. A French researcher was detained on arrival in the US. His computer and his phone was confiscated and searched, and his texts criticising Trump's cuts to scientific research were deemed by Trump administration agents as hatred of Trump. That could be described as terrorism, and he was deported the next day.
Jesus, so one of our episodes recently is called Transgender Mice. or something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
I mean, we're literally stuffed. That bucket list trip with my kids to do when they're like in their 20s to do shopping in New York. It's stuffed. It's not happening, kids. And I mean, I've literally just called him, said that he looks like he's got pregnancy water retention.
He
A
does.
puff-faced guppy.
And I've talked about his foundation. And do you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I will
Stand
go
by it.
without a trip to the
Yeah.
US.
No. Go somewhere else. Yeah.
Canada,
Whatever.
actually. I'm going to go Canada. There you go.
Yes. I fancy a trip to Canada. Wonderful. Go there and stick 2 fingers up. Somebody called Ali at Miss Main said, having more money than they could ever spend in a lifetime isn't enough. They want to make it illegal to be mean to them. It's pathetic. So these fragile, fashy snowflakes are... that'll do it as well, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that's it. If we had any chance of getting in, now we don't.
Where do we start? They are also wildly incompetent. And look, we've all been there. We've all probably sent an email to the wrong person at some point. We've probably all typed something in the wrong group chat. I've done that. Here's a clip of former US Secretary for Transport, Pete
Buttigieg.
Thank
Pete
you.
Buttigieg.
With the update.
The U.S. Secretary of Defense, the National Security Advisor, the Vice President of the United States, and other very senior, very powerful Trump White House officials, it turns out, discussed highly classified war plans, not only on an unclassified channel, but accidentally and randomly, it seems, including a journalist. And to see this administration claiming that it cares about competence and merit, and then be responsible for an epic fuck-up like this, demonstrates that these are not serious people.
Yes, Pete. The F-bomb.
Yeah, from Pete.
Yeah, unprecedented.
A lot of people were actually commenting on that. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why is he said the F word?
Yeah, in fact, Fox Hill 83 said, if it's got a guy with 2 small kids from the Midwest using the F word, you know it's serious.
Malcolm Kenyatta wrote, the cruelty of this administration is only surpassed by their utter effing incompetence. And basically, the story, you will have heard it by now, it's absolutely incredible. Basically, the Trump administration accidentally sent the editor of The Atlantic, which is a publication not sympathetic to the Trump administration, invited this guy to the Signal group, and then they just go on to have this war chat. With emojis, like talking about specific plans. Have a listen. This is the journalist here, Jeffrey Goldberg, and he even says he couldn't reveal the stuff he's read.
The specific time of a future attack, specific targets, including human targets, meant to be killed in that attack, weapon systems, even weather reports, that the government is I don't know why Hexet was sharing it with everybody. I mean, the precise detail, and then a long section on sequencing. This is going to happen. Then that is going to happen. After that happens, this happens. Then that happens.
And imagine that just falling into your lap, like as a journalist.
It's a good day at the office, that.
I know, it would be like us being invited by Trussy Poos onto a group WhatsApp with her and Therese Coffee and all the girls, Dame Andrea, and they're all going out for a white wine later.
Sophie B.
Yeah, a little bit of a Sophie B.
I would rather be in the chat with her and Quasi. I'd like to see what's going down in that group chat. Allegedly.
Right, I am all over the place said, like many have already said, this interaction seemed to be straight from a group of boys playing video games or frat boys planning a party. But what's also shocking to me, not in a surprising way, we all knew this, is how the economy and profit is more important than human lives. Not once is the loss of human and other life being mentioned. And Nina DNGR, I thought this was brilliant, said, now, this is an email that could have been a meeting.
Absolutely. These meetings, I cannot stress, like, you are not supposed to be conducting this over anything, like over phones at all. It should be in a room, locked away, like away from any potential prying or listening. And they're there using bloody emojis and like, yeah, a good start, fist, American flag, flames. Honestly, Gemma, they were a second's away, I reckon, from using a GIF or a meme.
Yeah.
It's so amateur. This
Just whacking an aubergine in. Just whacking an
I
aubergine.
knew you'd get that emoji in.
All right, hang on a minute. Let's go at this, Gemma. Come on, you can do it. Catalvara Comedy said Pete Hegseth accidentally group chatting war plans versus Hillary's emails is a perfect example of how men can make mistakes, but women have to be perfect to be taken seriously. We're not a serious country. D-Star Kid, can you imagine what they'd be saying about Kamala Harris if she texted war strategy in a group chat to randoms? Laugh my ass off they tried to ban women and black people from participating in government for the next 100 years.
Indeed. And there's always a tweet.
Yep.
Always a tweet. This one is from a certain Donald J. Trump back in 2016. He wrote, "Crooked Hillary Clinton and her team were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information, not fit." And yet, when Trump was asked about this complete cock-up, his response was, "I don't actually know. I don't know anything about that."
Like the biggest headline on the news. You watch the news, you bell. Do you get briefed? What are you doing? Are you just still looking at that portrait? Are you still crying little teeny ties on of your portrait that actually makes you look better than you are? Which one is it? Or are you playing golf again? Okay, so when watching Adolescence, it was very clear and obvious to me the point the show was making. Young boys are being radicalized in their rooms by the likes of Tate. That's it. Most people got it. The wildest thing about this was how wrong'uns were just outing themselves left, right, and centre by either choosing to miss the point entirely or, worse, blaming the victim in the show. Wow. Or being furious that the killer wasn't black. And I'm not even bloody joking. And then Jim Gito said the fact people are watching the Netflix show Adolescence and then defending his behaviour shows how much this show is needed. But she bullied him. That doesn't mean she deserved to be murdered. Guys bullied him too, but he sees women as lower than him. And this was shown. Seriously, men defending him really worry me. Me too. They should all go on a register.
Anyone who is a fan of Tate, like again, my little girl is 2, right? But if she was at a point where she was dating and there was a register I could go and check, and someone who was a Tate fan,
Yeah.
I'm like, darling, you can't go near him. I'm afraid he is a danger. He might look lovely and talk lovely and talk a good game, but he's a danger. Like people are outing themselves, and like also just on that, the algorithms and our tech companies, these social media companies, they are to blame for so much of this because they don't give a shit about. There's no social responsibility here. All they care about is clicks and views and engagement metrics, and that is why algorithms are built in a way that you watch something, then the next thing is served you is a little bit more extreme, and then the next thing is a little bit more extreme, and it's all about how they can bring you in, get you watching more with a complete disregard for what that content is or what it is doing to your mind and young minds.
The parents in this piece, they're together, they love each other, and they think their child is safe because he's sat in his room. He's not out. So they're from a generation where you think if your kid's out and about causing trouble, you've got to be careful. No. We now have children, young minds, sat inside with the very gutter of society telling them how to think. Okay, so back in the day, if you went out and your parents said, "Where were you?" and you said, "Oh, I was down the park with my friends." Okay, what else were you doing? I went and sat and for 4 hours talked to somebody who's been accused of sex trafficking in a pub. And he told me that actually the reason you're unhappy is because women only like 20% of men, so they deserve to be shamed. That's what's going on here, everybody. I can't put it any more plainly than that.
Oh, gosh. Do you know, when you put it like that, you're absolutely right. And I think what's also happening for so many parents, and sometimes it's not through their own fault, it's through, not having the time, not having the understanding of what's going on, but their phones are becoming almost like a third parent or a second parent, depending on what your setup is. They are stepping in and teaching children where it would be their peer group, it would be their parents. I think we're just not aware of how much is brewing and stewing and bubbling away under the surface.
But also, isn't it funny? I'm sort of sat here feeling like sorry for all the nice men who are listening.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to do all of that. Obviously not you. Obviously not all men. Like, I hope you know that. I am surrounded by men who are so decent. They obviously think that Tate is just a dickhead. My sisters are with great men. They watched Adolescence together. He won't mind me saying this because he's a proper man. He was so moved and he was so gripped by this drama and very teary at the end of it. And they've got 2 young boys, right? And my sister Jess said to him, do you get now why I want you to be on board? I put all the controls in on the phone. I put all the controls in on the Wi-Fi. I'm the one who's like, you don't have that device in your room. When our eldest starts secondary, I need you as a team. And he's like, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. It doesn't matter when these conversations start or what triggers it. If it helps incredible men protect their wonderful boys.
Yeah. I said the same thing to my husband. I was like, we have to watch this. It's like our duty. We've got a little boy, a little girl. We have to watch this to be aware. Someone who chose to completely miss the point on the show wrote, Netflix has a show called Adolescence, blah, blah, blah. So guess what? They race swapped the actual killer from a black man migrant to a white boy. And Elon Musk responds to that, therefore amplifying it to millions of people with the word, wow. And again, this is a guy who allowed Andrew Tate back onto the platform.
I know. He's partially responsible. So Mukhtar said the producers of Adolescence said that it's not based on a specific true story or crime, but rather that they took it from multiple stories of young boys attacking young girls. And yet still that tech bellend doesn't get it.
The show is also, it's doing a really important job of shining a light on this growing misogyny, right? Which is a danger to women and girls. And those are the same groups that protest. They like to make out that they care about these grooming gangs,
young white
and all
boys
about
as
young,
well.
and like protecting our women and girls. But this is not. Is this not the essence of what this show is also looking to do?
Right, the brilliant writer. So much kudos to him, Jack Thorne. He was on Newsnight with Vic Derbyshire.
What's been happening in the last few days is my picture is being circulated with questions as to my masculinity, questions as to whether I've got too much estrogen in my system, questions as to whether I'm a man or not, weird things like people saying that I'm Jewish when I'm not. It's been very odd, and it's given me a taste of something that's very strange. I'm very comfortable with how I look. I don't mind it, but it's been scientifically very interesting.
Poor Jack, just getting a flavour there of the sort of bellends we get online every single bloody day. Yeah, there was a man being nasty to me. I don't care. Just said some shitty comment on Instagram. And I thought, let's have a little look at him. And he...
Face like a potato. Let me guess.
Yeah, but also his Instagram feed was full of close-ups of frankfurters that he'd cooked for himself. It was really odd. Anyway.
Get him on a register.